answering, and if anybody wants to join in, I'll be more than happy then to let you join in or whatever. But one thing that I definitely was noticing was that time is a big thing when it comes to healing. I was thinking about, I've had like four major surgeries. I've had three C-sections, and I had my gallbladder removed. The first one was my gallbladder. That was the first surgery I had to have. And I was pregnant at the time. And I was in so much pain. I couldn't eat. I was hospitalized, and at first, they didn't know what was wrong with me. And, I was brought in, and they were doing a bunch of tests, giving me medicines or whatever. Nothing was working. It was very scary because all of these doctors would be in the room looking at different parts, and each one listening to different things and trying, just talking kind of like over my head, and saying all of these words because I was 19, so I didn't know a lot, about medical terminology or whatever. So it was just very scary or whatever. But, thank God they ended up having to like put make little surgical marks and look inside of me with a little camera. And the doctor was like, as soon as we looked at your gallbladder, we knew that that was the issue. So they basically had to remove it. Of course, they had to take extra precautions because I was pregnant at the time or whatever. But, you know, being young and not having experienced anything like that before, I was thinking I would wake up from surgery and just feel better. But it definitely wasn't the case. Like, I remember just waking up in the recovery room groggy and confused and just in pain, still in pain. And I was like, did they do it right? Did they mess up something? What's going on? Like, why am I still in pain? And even after, being in recovery and going home, I still was in pain for a couple of weeks just because they had to go into me surgically. So let me see. My doctor increased my dose because I said that I don't want to die, but I wouldn't care if I did. So they increased your dosage of your medication. Did that help? And Diva said, I'm in consistent recovery. I find that I may backslide on occasion, but I find my healing comes when I can be of support to others. I definitely understand that. But what do you mean when you say that you backslide? What do you mean by that? And then Camille, hey, busy doing nothing podcast. Thanks for joining. Camille says, since being officially diagnosed with the help of my medication and therapy, I have come a long way. I'm in my healing. Okay, so Tanisha said, I had my gallbladder removed at 10 during the time my transplant was failing, and that is depressing because the pain is hard to handle. I definitely understand that. I definitely do. They do equate, a lot of people being depressed with if they're ill, especially if they have a serious illness, depression and other mental illnesses do come into play. So, what do you do, Tanisha, besides medication? Is there any other therapies that you're trying? What are some other coping mechanisms that you're, using to combat at least like the depression and mental health issues that you have? So Talia says, I was diagnosed in 2015. I've been on medication and in therapy. The medication helps maintain the depression and anxiety. The therapy has made me feel better. I'm not sure what the last three words are. Okay, I just picked up the dosage to. Oh, okay, you just picked up the dosage today. It changed my perception and made me feel like I can keep moving forward in life. Okay. Okay, so do you feel like you're gonna have to continue that, or do you feel like you will get to a place where you won't have to, continue the medication, especially since your outlook is changed? Hey Nicole, hi, how are you? I'm glad you joined. So Diva said, my symptoms get out of control and I overreact. That's my version of backsliding. I believe I should be able to practice my coping skills every time, but sometimes I just want to wallow. I definitely understand that. I definitely understand. I feel like backsliding is such a harsh word to say, though. I don't feel like you should even have to look at it as backsliding. I feel like that's everybody, even somebody that's not dealing with mental health issues. Like, life does get very overwhelming sometimes, and you can't always be positive. You can't always, not cry or not get frustrated. I just feel like that's unrealistic or whatever. So, I just feel like maybe you could give yourself a little bit more slack, because this life is hard. And especially if you're dealing with the illness, that's the thing that I do, like, kind of give myself a little room. A margin of error is something that I talked about one other day. I give myself that because, okay, if you had a physical illness, you can't do the same things that, a normal person would do. If I am on crutches, someone that walks normally or don't have the same issue, they're going to get to their destination faster or whatever. So being that, you're struggling with this illness or you're dealing with it or whatever, you have to give yourself a margin of error. You have to give yourself room to, sometimes not have it all together. Sometimes, like you say, backslide or whatever, or fall down. And I just feel like, for me, I look at it like this: the quicker that I get up, the better I feel, because it's been times where I would be down for weeks or whatever, or just not feeling myself or whatever. But, the fact that, okay, I'm up and I'm getting up faster, I pat myself on the back for that. Because, even the beginning of this year, those days that I were down, I thank God that it was only days, because it's been times that it's been more than that. So I'm grateful that, even in the falling or the backsliding, whatever you want to call it, that, you see improvement. So let's see. I gotta go back. Okay, talking about it, writing poetry about it are two of my biggest coping mechanisms. Yes, I would definitely agree. This is one of mine. This is definitely one of mine. Although it's very, difficult to like do it from the time my eyes pop open Thursday morning. I'm like, nervous about it because I know I have to do it or whatever. But once I start and then once it's over, I definitely just feel like I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad that you guys come in and we get a chance to talk about it, and I can kind of like hear what you're saying and see what your thoughts are and get more information, especially last week when y'all were giving me everything about the medications and everything. And just to hear that, it brought me so much peace, because every time I thought about taking medications, it made me feel nervous. It gave me a feeling like, oh no, I don't want to do that, because I had all of these, just my own little thoughts about it. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? And it was one area that I haven't really educated myself in, because I already have those thoughts about medicines and stuff like that. So just talking to you all about it made that part easier. So now I feel, ready to explore that as an option for me or whatever. So I definitely understand that, and writing is definitely healing for me. Yeah, I have my journal. My journal, it go in my purse with me. It's everywhere, so I can, if I need to just jot down whatever, however I'm feeling, especially if I'm getting some clarification about something, I just take the time and I just jot it down. Or, I'm not always able to express my feelings all the time, so I'll just have these random moments where everything is clear. And so that I'm like, yes, I want to write about it right now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to, have to wait for the perfect time or whatever. No, I want to be able to get it out and express it right then. So Tanisha said, Diva, I backslide as well. We all do. We all do. So Camille said, oh, yeah, I backslide as well, especially in the winter months. You know what? I have not explored that much, but I have run across a lot of articles that talk about like seasonal depression, especially in the winter. And I know, especially around the holidays, that's another thing or whatever. I wonder why that is. Do you feel like it's because we have less contact with people? Because I feel like when it's colder, you don't want to go out as much or whatever. So, what do y'all think? Or maybe the cold just make you mad, or it just make you sad or something. I feel like this as well. One thing I did notice towards the end of 2017 and the beginning of this year, because it was cold, I didn't get out and do my walks like I normally did. And I really feel like that played a big role as to why I fell into that little slump or whatever. I really do, when I thought about it, because I was like, normally, once we find the things that help us, we got to continue it. And that's the point that I was making in this healing process is, you know, physically, when the doctors give you medicine, they'll say, okay, take this for 7 days, blah blah blah, 3 times a day with food, whatever. And me, not liking medicine in the beginning, I have taken the medicine, felt better, than like, okay, I don't need the rest of it, I'm not gonna take any more of it. And then, found myself back sick, and then trying to rush and take the rest of the medicine only to have it not work. And so then it's like, okay, I've been in a situation where I've had to go back to the doctor because I got worse. And the medicine they gave me at first, they couldn't give it to me anymore. They had to give me something different, or like a stronger dosage or whatever. So I just feel like once we have like a regimen, or a set thing that works for us, we have to continue to do it. I do notice that when I don't, spend as much time like in my word, in my Bible, or having that one-on-one time with God, meditating, prayer, my exercising, getting out, getting some fresh air, different things like that, it's like